Let's get into it. Coach Colin Media, hit that subscribe button. It is greatly appreciated. Bringing you all sorts of news every single day. Now, we're talking about RFK. RFK recently just came forward and he says he believes that there is an argument that Joe Biden is more of a threat to democracy than Donald Trump could ever be as president and currently. So we're going to talk about that because I'm going to play that clip for you because I don't know who let him on CNN, but they put him on there and that's what he chose to say. Not really sure if they were expecting that. Probably not. He's sitting with a lady named Erin, one of the top propagandists in my opinion. And then we're going to talk about RFK's vice president pick. Now, I was just going to talk about how I feel, why I feel that she's extremely left-leaning. And then in my research, I found that Donald Trump actually said the exact same thing. So I'm going to be playing that for you in a second. But let's get to RFK first. Let's go.
When people talk about the threat to democracy that Trump poses, do you really think that is an equal evil to Biden?
I mean, listen, I can make the argument that President Biden is a much worse threat to democracy. And the reason for that is President Biden is the first candidate in history, the first president in history that has used the federal agencies to censor political speech, so to censor his opponent. I can say that because I just won a case in the Federal Court of Appeals and now before the Supreme Court. It shows that he started censoring not just me. 37 hours after he took the oath of office, he was censoring me. No president in the country has ever done that. The greatest threat to democracy is not somebody who questions election returns, but a president of the United States who used the power of his office to force the social media companies, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, to open a portal and give access to that portal to the FBI, to the CIA, to the IRS, to CISA, to NIH, to censor his political critics. President Biden, for the first president in history, to use his power over the Secret Service to deny Secret Service protection to one of his political opponents for political reasons. He's weaponizing the federal agencies. Those are really critical threats to democracy.
Donald Trump, of course, tried to overturn a free and fair election. He tried to overturn one, right? He's still fighting in court.
Yes.
How is that not a threat to democracy?
Well, I think that is a threat to democracy. If him trying to overthrow the election clearly is a threat to democracy. But the question was, who is a worse threat to democracy? And what I would say is, I'm not going to answer that question, but I can argue that President Biden is, because the First Amendment, Aaron, is the most important. Adams and Hamilton and Madison said, we put the guarantee of freedom of expression in the First Amendment because all of our other constitutional rights depend on it. If you have a government that can silence its opponent, it has license for any atrocity.
So just to be clear, you're saying you could make an argument that President Biden is a worse threat to democracy than Donald Trump. That's what you just said.
But who else has ever tried to censor? What president in history has ever tried to censor political opponents? What president has weaponized the federal agency?
Which president indeed? Not Donald Trump. Say what you want about Trump. Yeah, bad, mean tweets, orange man bad, a little too aggressive, a little too crass for some people. But when the left was coming for him, he was just like, come on. Every single press meeting, everything. It was like, come on. No silencing people. Currently, Biden's press secretary, she has banned 2 journalists from attending, period, because they would press too hard. Trump didn't have that issue. His press secretary didn't have that issue. And Robert F. Kennedy talking about 37 hours after taking office. And listen, I 100% agree with Robert F. Kennedy on this. 100%. Because think about what we've seen. His first day in office, President Biden, right? The honorable, the sleepy. First day in office, takes away Remain in Mexico, undoes everything that Trump did in regards to securing the border. Undoes everything. and then has a flow of, his first year, I believe it was 1.9 million illegals, second year 2.7, third year, this year 3.2, I believe, and 2024 is going to be even more. So, it's just, that right there is a threat to democracy. Like, I get what everybody claims Trump did, but at the end of the day, he didn't do anything different than Hillary Clinton and so many other people when he was elected president for his first term. When he was elected president, Hillary Clinton she said he's an illegitimate president, had no proof of it, and just kept on saying that. Many people, mainstream media, other politicians, they kept saying he's an illegitimate president. No one said that was a threat to democracy. No one. Trump was just like, I think this happened, and I would like to see numbers done, and you should peacefully go and protest. There's a whole speech he gave, but they cut out all sorts of parts. I don't think that he's a threat to democracy at all. Know them by their fruits. Look at what he did for the economy. I don't get it. Like, if people were feeling better, living better, more money, and I'm talking about people in the inner cities, mid to very low income people, they felt way better under Trump than they do today. That shows me that he was not a threat to democracy whatsoever, and that he is not currently. But now, if you have people who are feeling like there's this immense pressure, there are thousands and millions of immigrants coming from all over the place, they're taking jobs, they're taking over schools, it's this, it's that. How is this guy not a threat to democracy? I don't know. Let's get into RFK's pick for vice president. I'm sure you've already heard. Her name's Nicole Shanahan. Here's a little bit about her.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr., running as an independent presidential candidate, today announced his running mate. She is 38-year-old Nicole Shanahan, a wealthy attorney and entrepreneur in the San Francisco Bay Area. Shanahan, like Kennedy, has never run for elected office. She has contributed to his campaign and reportedly paid $4 million for a Super Bowl ad promoting his campaign. Kennedy made the announcement in her hometown of Oakland.
I wanted a vice president who shared my passion for wholesome, healthy foods, chemical-free, for regenerative agriculture, for good soils. I managed to find a technologist at the forefront of AI. She has spent the last decade relying on neural networks, artificial intelligence, and cutting-edge science to identify abuses in our government.
Shanahan leads Baya Echo Foundation, an organization she founded to direct money towards issues including women's reproductive science, criminal justice reform, and environmental causes. Like Kennedy, she has been a Democrat and will now run as an independent.
In my opinion, severely left-leaning, this woman. I mean, let's just go through it. I mean, San Francisco, goes without saying, she's in the tech industry, okay? Those two things right there tell me that she is very left-leaning. We could even go as far as to say she's part of the woke crowd. So that's who he chose, and that's fine, I guess. And then on top of that, it's like the first thing she does for the guy is pay for a $4 million ad. So she's also rich. So what I'm seeing is that she is an elite tech person, tech founder who specializes in AI, some of the wokest technology that we have going today. Okay. And then he's saying that she's an outsider. That was something else that he said. I like her because she's an outsider. We need an outsider. Is she really an outsider? Maybe in the realm of politics, she's an outsider. But in reality, when you look at the ideology that the people of San Francisco have and the Democratic Party has, they're hand in hand, one and the same. This is not an outsider. This is not an independent. In my opinion, this is someone who can bankroll his campaign more than it's ever been in reality. It's just true. She can really do things. She was married, I believe she was married to one of the founders of Google. Now, I don't know if they divorced. What does that mean? Listen, What divorce do women get? Nothing. So she probably has a very large bankroll. She's in tech. I don't know, man. She doesn't seem like an outsider to me. She seems like someone that you would not want in office, especially the fact that she's so into AI and believes in that technology. I'm of the thinking that anybody who's deeply into AI not is anti-human, but is definitely working on technology that is very anti-human in the sense of people's jobs. That's just me. I see it as if you're working hard on AI, whether you realize it or not, whether it's your intention or not, you are also working hard at putting a lot of people out of work. You just are. And you see it as a good thing. So that's just me. Let's hear a little bit more about her, and then let's hear what Trump thinks about this lady and RFK, because for the first time, Donald Trump takes a swing at RFK. He's been very, very nice, very respectful to RFK, but not anymore. Let's go.
Well, it's official. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has named Nicole Shanahan, a lawyer from Oakland, as his vice presidential pick, becoming the first 2024 presidential hopeful to actually announce a running mate.
The Democratic Party is supposed to be the party of compassion. It is supposed to be the party of diplomacy and science. It is supposed to be the party of civil liberties and free speech, and most importantly, the party of the middle class and the American dream. While I know many Democrats still abide by those values, I want to point out, and I've been in touch with many people in the Democratic Party, I do believe they've lost their way in their leadership.
Now, RFK Jr.'s third-party run is causing consternation for both GOP presumptive nominee Donald Trump and President Joe Biden. Trump actually took to Truth Social early this morning, 1:52 a.m. to be exact, to rail against RFK Jr. and take a jab at his number 2 pick, writing, quote, RFK Jr. is the most radical left candidate in the race by far. His running mate, Nicole Shanahan, is even more liberal than him. Expect him and her to be indicted any day now, probably for environmental fraud. He is crooked Joe Biden's political opponent, not mine. I love that he is running.
But of course, RFK Jr. isn't the only one that Biden...
Very, very interesting that Donald Trump decided to say that. And you know what? This has been something that I've been saying for a while, that he is radical left. Whether he plays it that way or not, listen, he had me going. When he was talking about central bank digital currencies and the dangers of them, I was like, oh, this guy's on our side. But then you hear his take on firearms and what he thinks there. You know, I believe what he said was if there was a consensus, then he would consider taking away people's guns. I'm pretty sure that's what I heard from him in an interview with it's slipping from me. I know it was a podcast interview. I can't remember who he was sitting down with, but he was talking about that. You see things like that. It's just going to be more of the same with him. My opinion. That's what I think. I think he's great. I think he has a fantastic heart. I think he has the greatest intentions. But I also think that unlike Donald Trump, he is going to work with all of the regular players in the Democratic Party, and it's just going to result in more of the same. That's my thinking on what he's doing. And then all of a sudden he introduces this VP who is pretty much a tech millionaire who's from San Francisco. It's literally the wokest person that you could possibly grab up to be your VP. You know, I think. I can't say who I think his VP should have been, because I think at a certain point, I thought he should be Donald Trump's VP. He doesn't want to do that. You know, good for him, I guess. I don't know. He doesn't. And also that tells me you care so much about the country. But then also, if someone who is more than likely going to be president wanted you to be VP, which RFK did say he was approached by Trump's people, you're saying no. So your opportunity to actually do something for America, whether or not you win in the running, which he's not going to win, it's just not going to happen, you say no to that. That again, to me, is another signal that he is, I don't want to say Trojan horse, but I do want to say that he is wanting to bring more of the same While we all know Donald Trump is going to severely shake things up, especially for the fact now that he knows who to trust, he knows who he can't trust. Even more importantly, he understands who he can't trust anymore, and he's not going to get the same runaround that he got before. I don't know. Anyways, guys, I just wanted to show that. But again, going back to the first clip, I do agree with what he had to say to the woman on CNN, that Joe Biden is definitely more of a threat than Donald Trump. I mean, say what you want about Trump. Again, say what you want to say about Trump. There's a lot of things he could have dug up while he figured out that he was running against Joe Biden 2020. There's a lot of things he could have dug up. There's a lot of things he could have pursued. He was talking about the Ukraine and Russia and his son. He was talking about all that years ago. He could have easily pursued that and said, I want that looked into, this, that. Didn't do anything like that. Now it's the other way around, and Donald Trump's getting prosecuted left and right. Very much a threat to democracy. He's setting very bad precedents, and he's sleeping right now. Look at it. What time is it right now? It's 1:30 in the afternoon. He's asleep right now, for sure. Ice cream on his shirt. Obama's just in the background, just writing things down. To-do lists for Joe. Kidding. I'm kidding. I don't really think that. I don't know. Anyways, guys, hit that subscribe button. I really need to hit 1,000 subscribers. We're trying hard on this channel. This is the first video of the day. There's going to be many more today, many more tomorrow. And other than that, I'm out.